Hey y'all, welcome to another What Else is Going On, aka We Go podcast episode. I'm your girl, your host Taria. I'm recording this Wednesday. It'll be out Thursday. So happy Thursday Eve, Wednesday Eve, whatever it is. Y'all, I am shiny on the forehead. I am fresh out of the shower. Worked all day, went to the gym, got a good workout in. Do I have on lipstick with my big old oversized sweatshirt? I do. Lipstick and lip gloss is my absolute favorite. I feel like it's shoes to the face. You know how you can have like just jeans and a t-shirt, nice bag, nice purse. With the shoes, I'm a shoe girl. Like your shoes can set it off. And I feel like with lipstick or lip gloss, lip liner, lip gloss, it's the shoes to your face. And I love it. So I've been playing around with some in my lip stuff. You know, when C-19 happened, other than, of course, lives being lost, right? It really dawned on me when I had drove 35 to 40 minutes. Anybody who knows Maryland, I live in Baltimore County and drove all the way to Howard County, Columbia Mall for a discontinued MAC lipstick. And we was getting ready to have a storm and they warned you to stay off the roads. It was raining, but I knew I could make it back there in time. And I had a mask on, and when I got in the car, I got ready to try it on in the parking lot. Or it was at Nordstrom's, Columbia Mall, Nordstrom's. And it hit me. I said, I'm not even going to be able to see it because I'm wearing a mask. Just so I would be in my robe at the house, stretching out my heels because I have wide feet. So I would wear my heels, my robe, and a lip gloss. I love it. And I'm going to start wearing it even while out driving again. I just love lip gloss, lipstick, any combo. But anyway, so yes, I'm sitting here fresh and shiny, child. Just got out of the shower. Let's get into Salt Lake City. So we're back at the campground with their little video recorders. Molly ain't get them. She ain't fix them no food, and she ain't sacrifice them. Meredith did say we're not young, didn't she? Because, you know, the legend was that she was looking for young girls. So Meredith said, we're not young, and they were safe. So they're showing flashbacks of the night before when it looked like Blair Witch Projects. Thank you to the subscriber. I wish I had your name right in front of me, but last week I couldn't remember what it reminded me of, and you told me in the comments the Blair Witch. So thank you so much. That's exactly what it looked like. And they ended up. Was that a cross on the door of the RV? That's what it looked like. They had made right to keep it out, so, with sticks or whatever. So the way they were sleeping in them sleeping bags was cracking me up. In her confessional, Meredith said, "Look, they ain't gonna let us die. We too much of a liability for the network." In other words, if we were to all die on a cash trip, can y'all imagine? Oh, I don't even want to imagine that. But like, what? That would be so crazy. I think they would have to cancel every single housewife they had. I think they would try not to, but child, they might have to. But anyway, I thought that was funny. And again, now that they can reference the network, remember back in the day, they couldn't reference that it was a show. So I think it's great now that they can because we all know it's a show. And me personally, let's not talk around it. Let's talk about it. They brushed their teeth down by the river. Meredith looking for a cappuccino maker. I will say, when they opened that door, it was a beautiful sight. It looked like it was cold, but it looked like it was beautiful. There were animals out there. What animals were they? Because I didn't know. I just know they were big. Were they like boar or like, I know they weren't cows, but they were big. Heather is brushing her teeth with Whitney, says she don't have the ability to spit ever since she got Botox in her lips. Any of y'all watching or listening, have you had Botox in your lips? And if so, is that true? Is it a mess when you're trying to brush your teeth? I'm just curious. They cooking breakfast. Bronwyn was trying to cook steaks. Mary said, no, ma'am. Meredith, I'm going to need you on them steaks because Bronwyn can't cook. I thought that was funny. So they're all sitting around the campfire, talking, enjoying each other. Heather's youngest is getting ready to go off to college. And she says that even though she feels guilty about it, she's excited for it. All her life, she had to fight. It's like, no, she didn't. That's Miss Sophia in The Color Purple, for those of y'all who don't know, but I'm sure quite a few of you caught the reference. But anyway, she grew up in a religion that taught her as a woman, she was born to be a mother and a wife, cater to her family. That's all she's ever done. When she got divorced, her ex didn't even keep his own kids overnight. He would have once a week fun day visits. That to me is so crazy. Talking about religion, I'm used to suppress women. Suppress is not the word. You know, what is it like? What's the word? Y'all know the word I'm trying to use. Like basically keep women down. Suppress can be used, but y'all know, I hope y'all know what I'm trying to say. But anyway, so she was feeling guilty because once she goes off to college, she gets to, once her daughter goes off to college, she gets to live for herself. Even though her youngest is older, getting ready to go. The fact is she's still in the house, so she's still making sure she eat, making, because that's been what's drilled into her. But once she goes away, she'll be able to live for her. She said her daughter even noticed and said, Mom, you've been in fight or flight mode since I can remember. So Bronwyn was trying to, I think, connect with Heather. And she says, to speak to what Heather was saying, I get it. Me, I'm the opposite. So afraid of her going to leave that she moved her boyfriend with her in with them. What do the boyfriend's mama think? I'm just curious. Do they sleep in the same room? Do they have separate rooms? I mean, I'm gonna say my mama would never, ever, forever, ever. No, my grandma was a little bit more easier. Well, I was also older when me and Corey started dating because when I was pregnant in college, I came home to live with my grandma because my grandfather had just died. So it was like not perfect timing, but sort of kind of. Um, and then after I had Ariel, when I started dating and getting Corey, there were certain things that she would allow that my mama wouldn't have allowed, but live with, I don't know, my grandma might have said, yeah, my mom, absolutely not. Anyway, that's not, y'all not, I'm not here for my business. We talking about Bronwyn. So Bronwyn says, that's what her thing is because she wants to spend all the time with her she can. Heather takes that from Bronwyn as like a negative. Like, so are you saying that you love your child more than me? And Brown was like, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. I was just trying to have a relatable moment. And there's a part of me that feels like Heather is truly committed to thinking the worst of Bronwyn. Then there was also a small part of me that felt like I can see why Heather may have felt that way for a bit until Bronwyn explained it later in the episode, right? Which we'll get into. But I'm saying I can't wait for my child to leave because of how I was raised. You're saying you don't want your child to leave because you love them so much. But it made sense what Brahman was saying later and how she was trying to relate to Heather by basically calling out her mother, her own mothering skills, right? But in that moment, I was like, Lord, Brahman ain't gonna be able to breathe, right? You know? So uh Heather's excited to be able to live her life. Whitney said, well, she's always wanted to work and now she wants nothing more to be a stay-at-home mom, but now she can't because of her business failing. When they merged Wild Rose Beauty, with that other business, she said it took off. It was great, doing great, and then all of a sudden it crashed. And she carries that weight. So they show a flashback of a week earlier of her talking to Justin. She's crying and he's saying, look, maybe we went all in. Maybe we went all in too fast. Maybe that's a lesson for us that we can get out of this. Like, that's the positive we can get out of this. Let's step back and take our time. And he was good at reassuring her. Because ain't this the second time Whitney had spent their money? Remember when they got into it a couple seasons ago when she was first creating Wild Rose Beauty and they talked about spending their savings? Whitney spent their savings. It was a season before last, I believe. And now they're back in it again. And yes, you need to be supportive of your partner. I get it. Justin was very supportive, but I also think that he held a position in this new company as well. But anyway, so he was comforting her. So again, she says she can't be with her kids now. Mary says, like it'll just change without warning. So Whitney asked her how Robert was doing. Mary said he's taking it step by step. He's trying. He has his highs and his lows. Some days he's good, some days he's not. In her confessional, she said when Robert Jr. came home, her and Robert Sr. had a talk with him. And Robert Sr. was like, look, we can't babysit you. You have the tools. to do what you need to do. So they made a pact with him that they would take it one day at a time, which I think it was great, and not try to rush the process. But listen, we know it's one day at a time. So they made that pact with him. So she said, look, I don't have a support system. All I had was Robert Sr., and I only have one. So I take my hat off to you, Heather, for having three girls and doing it on your own because I could never do it. And Heather really, that really touched Heather, and she was emotional about that. And I liked seeing that moment between Heather and Mary. Because remember, Heather and Mary evidently were friends before, then they weren't friends. Well, because Mary with the tongue, sharp tongue, but also Heather was saying her church was a cult. So, but it's good to see them in a good place. So, child, they went to go leave, and the RV was stuck, and they had to get out and push. Mary said, "Y'all go ahead." I said, so they push it right. All the ladies get out to push except Mary. Mary's like, "Come on, come on," and they finally got it. But they had to tell the driver, "Don't go backwards. Can you?" I don't even want to think about it. There's that liability thing again. We get some interstitials. Y'all know that's my favorite S word. Well, words with S's, right? Angie walking her dog. Child, the dog is a lesbian. No, Angie joked that Meredith and Seth were doing something. I don't even know what. I feel like every time Seth is on camera, he's trying to make some sort of joke, some sort of what some might say would be inappropriate joke. Heather's on the phone with Angie and she's driving to meet Lisa. There is a woman named Amy that's having what was it, a winter social or a something soiree, some type. Child, Amy's having a party. So in her confessional, Heather said, look, in Salt Lake City, they don't really have socialites. Because, in the world, socialites are looked at with a higher status, right? Well, in Salt Lake City, since everything's based around the church, that's normally how people would be ranked based on their standing in the church. But if they were to have a socialite, it would be Amy. She would be, I guess, at the top of the food chain. So Heather pulls up to the trip to run to tell her boss, in the words of Nene. Remember when Nene said, you got to run and tell your boss when they called Kim Zolciak on the trip that they were on because she didn't go. Was it when they were in Africa? So Heather went to tell her boss, Lisa, although Heather did surprise me a little bit in this scene, which we'll get into later. So they're, in her confessional, Heather says, I'm not lying to Lisa about anything that went on the trip. I'm her friend. I'm going to tell her the truth. Bet. Okay. So they're talking. Lisa asked, how's the trip? Heather was like, it wasn't great. Brahma was dropping all this information about you. Here's the thing. Brahma wasn't the only one. Everybody, Brahma may have saw it, but everyone said they saw it as well. Brahma just had maybe a little bit more knowledge of it or more willing to speak on all of it, but they all saw it. They all said it was out there. So she said it was clear that she pretty much, I'm paraphrasing, but it was clear that she wanted to go after you. She's been doing all this research on your businesses and lawsuits. If they are in the paper, Salt Lake Tribune, the Tribune of Salt Lake, Salt Lake News, the Provo Post, whatever, I might go look into it. Like Lisa has looked into some of their stuff. I am not going to sit here. We're not going to sit here and act like Lisa hasn't done stuff like that. I know I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Hello, RIP. Hello to Cameron, the gentleman that she brought on, so he could have stuff to say about Mary's church. We seen a flashback last week of Lisa hearing and knowing a lot of things. Just like with that jeweler, I don't a bit believe that jeweler called Lisa last year. I believe Lisa called the jeweler because Angie said, Lisa, she didn't call you. But anyway, so Heather was like, I think it's something that you need to swatch. And she's like, how do you swatch something that's been, one has been dismissed, the other's on the way. In her confessional, she said, it's dumb. I said, but they're not all dismissed, so it's not dumb that they're talking about it. Anyway, Heather said, what's going on? Like, I don't know about it. Lisa said it's a business partner from 15 years ago. That's basically lying. We'll get into it because basically lying or lying. Because like Bronwyn says later, you're not denying taking the money. So which one is it? So Lisa then says, I don't own the same kind of business as everybody else in this friend group. I live a very different life than you all. I said, and that's it. There is a bit of insecurity there. Lisa needs to be looked at and seen as the cool girl, the it girl, the Blake. I'm with Blake and what's the other child? Blake and no, who she say? I'm with Ben and Blake. I live differently than you. She can't just a it girl or a girl that's really that girl. Don't talk like that. They just are. You see the way Heather was talking about Amy and how Amy, the one that's throwing the party, was the socialite or the closest thing to a socialite. I wonder if Amy walks around saying that's what she is, or do the girls just know because it's the way Amy carries herself? Lisa got to let everybody know I live a different life. This is where Heather shocked me. Heather said, your life is not that different from us. I said, come on, let her know, Heather. Honk the horn on them. Beep, beep, baby. In her confessional, Heather says she makes these elitist comments. I wish that Heather would have said that to her. Maybe she did and they cut it, but I wish she would have. I like how she did at least said, you don't live a life that different to us. And I think even Lisa was a little bit surprised at that. So Lisa said, did anybody stand up for me other than you? Heather just looked at her. And Lisa said, Meredith. Heather says she defended you around the picnic table, but then it just got heated. So, I mean, Meredith did try to defend her. Now, here's my thing. Remember when Bronwyn was wanting Lisa to stick up for her and in the Heather thing? And Lisa made it very clear, I don't have to stick up for nobody. I can only speak for myself. What goes around comes around. That's what the people say. So for you to expect them to stick up, somebody to come to your aid, your defense, when you made it very clear last season, you don't have to stick up for anybody. You speak for yourself. Matter of fact, you said you didn't, after you were solely taking Heather's side, then you said, well, I don't want to be involved. Child. In her confessional, oh, so Heather tells Lisa, Angie pretty much co-signed everything that Bronwyn said. Lisa starts crying because she's upset. In her confessional, she cries and says, all these years of sacrificing, giving 100%, taking time away from things and missing critical events. They put everything into their brand and they're trying to destroy her. I get it because that is her business, right? And it must be a lot of pressure. At the same time, you've been a part of doing something, doing that to someone else as well. What really gets what really gets me is Lisa had planned that Fresh Wolf event for her sons and had Jen Shaw help her plan it, only for Jen not to get invited. And Lisa said her boys did the invitations. It's her boys' event and it's for my boys, so they should be able to say who they want there. She had Jen help them plan it, turn around and use her boys and say they didn't invite Jen, but they invited Cameron, who used to go to Mary's church and had a lot to say about Mary's church. So when I say that Lisa is not innocent in this game, none of them are, right? None of them are. She's not a victim. Bronwyn and Whitney meet up. Whitney tells Bronwyn that she was so glad to see the moment with her and Heather that they had on the canoe or a kayak. Are they the same thing or a little bit different? Anyway, they both look like elf shoes, shaped like kayaks, like how the front goes up. Anyway, not Whitney and Bronwyn, the kayaks. So Bronwyn said she was too, but then when they were speaking about the kids, she felt like Heather took everything that she said negatively. So Whitney said, well, you need to straighten it out. So she said, well, we'll get to what she was trying to say later. So Bronwyn thanked Whitney for having her back with the Lisa thing. And then Bronwyn gets more into the lawsuit and said there's text messages allegedly. The person with the law that is bringing the lawsuit is saying he has text messages between him and Lisa showing that she borrowed the money and that she didn't want John to know. So Whitney's like, oh, is that the person that Angie was tweeting about? Because remember when Lisa was online talking about Angie and Angie tweeted back and said, I pay my own Amex bill. Who pays yours? So this must be the person that Angie was talking about. So Bronwyn said Lisa's not denying taking the money. And Lisa didn't want John to know. So Bronwyn said, instead of worrying about what I'm putting on my Amex, let's worry about what you're doing. I said, well, there you have it. Next, we're at Mary's house with Robert Jr. Oh my gosh, y'all. So Mary asked him, what's up? He said he's not in a dark place, but yet it's still there. And I just wanted to come through that screen and hug Robert Jr. and just, you know, I have a son that's 23 and I get it. Like, that's your child. Even if it was my daughter, I would still feel the same. Like, when you see your child in something with the drugs and with the depression, you just want to be able to reach in and just take them out of it or take it on for them. You know what I mean? Like, no, do you want to be addicted to drugs or depressed as a mom? No. But what I'm saying is you don't want that for your child. And so I could just see it in Mary and in Robert. And I just felt like I thought back to what he said last season, feeling like unseasoned chicken. And now he's not even hanging out with the friends during the time of them filming. He's not even hanging out with the friends he used to. So what must his life be like? So he's filling that void, getting that high, like he says to Mary, from somewhere else, from food. And Mary's like, where he tells Mary he's filling that void from somewhere else. And she's like, where? She could tell she's nervous. He says food, and she was like, okay. And then he said drugs. And you could tell she was like, did you smoke today? He admitted to smoking and that it was weed. And then it's a cycle because he beats himself up because he feels like he failed. And then when you're in that place, you try to do something to make yourself feel better. So it's just like a cycle. And I love how Mary handled this. I spoke about it last season. Growing up in a black church, sometimes they forget that we are human and that God has put people here that have been able to come up with medicines and different things to help us, like especially like with the mental health thing. Oh, don't put the child on medicine. Don't do this. Don't do that. Like, they just go straight to prayer. Yes, we should go straight to prayer and then follow up with seeing a doctor, getting the help that we need. Since I feel like God put people in place to be able to create and help us with these things. Prayer and a bath ain't always the solution. It go a little deeper than that. When I've heard somebody say that before, and I said, so when your asthma flares or your allergies, do you just pray and that's it, or do you get a hold to that Claritin? Do you get a hold to that Allegra? Do you use your asthma pump? Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. Meaning the mental health stuff and feeling dark and depressed. And I'm not trivializing it, y'all, when I say mental health stuff, but you know what I mean. I don't like when people in church just make it seem like prayer is all in it. Yes, prayer is great. Let's add that into what else we're doing, right? So I love how Mary handled this. She didn't just throw Jesus, 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 Jesus at him. Yes, we're going to pray. She said in her confessional, she believes God is going to turn it around. Also, let's do these things. She put them in rehab. They're taking it day by day. I love that. And I love how she told him, I know it's hard. I don't want you to feel isolated, but also you do have to isolate from the people that are doing these things because he'll fall into it, right? So I just love the way she handled it. She said in her confessional that knocked the wind out of her. She used to be a helicopter mom his whole life, but him going through this changed that. And she realized she could be there as a support, but he has to ultimately do the work. And she knew that she wanted him to trust her, to be able to come to her and say, I'm still in this dark place. So I have dealt with these feelings by eating and smoking weed. She wanted him to be able to trust her. And I know me as a parent, that is the number one important thing. I tell my kids, my oldest child, why I got to keep looking, 27 or 28. Hold on. What's it, 2025? And she was born in 1997. Who carried a one? My oldest is 28, my son is 23, and my youngest is 21. And I tell them and have told them, I don't care what it is. I don't care if you know that I may not agree with that choice that you made, that I don't agree with whatever it is you're doing. I want you to tell me, and I'm not going to hold it over your head, beat you up about it. Now, there's certain things, if they just outright say blowing their money and they know they got bills or this or that or whatever, then, for about the fifth or sixth time, it's like, get yourself together. That's something different. But stuff that's weighing heavy on them or anything. Sometimes they tell me too much, child, but I'm here for it. But I told them they should have they should know that they have at least one person in this world that they can tell absolutely anything to, because I've said it before. People take themselves up out of here because they feel like they have nobody. My kids need to know they have me and their dad. So whether we agree or not, them telling us is not the time to be trying to get down their throat or do this or do that. Trust me. You can trust me with your innermost thoughts, your innermost struggles. So I was so glad that Mary said that she changed it. One of the reasons she changed being a helicopter parent is so that he would trust her. I thought that was good. So we know what recently happened with Robert Sr. getting arrested for assault. So and those of you that don't know, I did a video about it, but he crawled through a doggy door of someone's home. They reported it as his wife's home. And remember last season, Mary was trying to figure out if they were married or if they weren't. But anyway, so I'm still praying that Robert gets the help he needs and taking it day by day. And I'm glad for him that Mary, and I'm assuming the father is there with him. So we get to Amy's Saturday social. Baby, 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 baby. It jumped off at this. This was the scene. I'm probably gonna go back and watch it again when I'm done with this. Whitney and Justin come. Brittany, Child, and Jared come. Ugh. Mary and Bronwyn come together. Heather is there and got on a titty dress. Heather looks good. I ain't gonna take that away from her. No matter how I feel about Heather, Heather looks good, okay? And every woman deserves to look good and feel that they look good. So shout out to Heather. Angie K is there, of course. Meredith and Seth come. A blonde lady is talking to Heather and Angie and said, "This is all the Park City OGs." And Heather said, "Are any of them single?" I was wondering if the blonde woman, oh no, the blonde woman wasn't Amy though, right? Because I had looked down, so I didn't get to see if it said her name or not, but if she got like a title card. But anyway, Lisa and John are in the car driving together. In her confessional, Lisa said after the lunch with Heather, she feels uneasy. And like the ladies are like, "Oh, we got to get her. We got to get her." She said she hides nothing. She lives her life in a light. I said, "Well, I know that's right, Miss Parlow." Lisa and John arrive, and somebody says, "Look who it is." And Lisa comes in loud, "Hi, hi, hi, hi." I said, "I know that's right, Lisa. You better make an entrance." So she says, this was so funny. She hugged Amy and Heather, and then Angie's off to the side. Hi. Angie's like, Lisa goes up to Meredith, gets straight into it, baby. I had lunch with Heather. She told me a little bit about the trip, who was a good friend to me and who wasn't. Slow blank. She told me the legal stuff came up. Is there anything else I need to know? Meredith said, there was a lot said. Lisa said, what's the worst? Meredith said, I think they need to talk to you and see what they said because it wasn't nice. Brittany came over, hi, gave a hug to Meredith and hugged Lisa. Now they want to talk about the trip. Brittany said Brahman was pulling out all these facts. This is funny. Brahman was pulling out facts. She didn't say Brahman was pulling out all this mess. Brahman was pulling out what, class? Facts. Not rumors, not hearsay. Facts. And Angie compared you to Jen Shaw. Lisa was livid. Jen Shaw, are you serious? I would never do that. In the words of Mia Thornton, you did. You did. So Lisa goes to have a talk with Angie. Angie said the lawsuit got brought up. Bronwyn brought them up. Lisa said Bronwyn didn't go to law school, and I doubt she went to college. Girl, that had nothing to do with nothing. Nothing to do with nothing. If it's a lawsuit and she can read it, whoop, there it is. Like Angie said, the way that she described your lawsuits, like, you know, Brownman walks up and said, "Look, you're saying you're mad at Angie, but you're really mad at me. Let's just get into it." I said, "Well, oh, come on, feathers or wings," because it looked like Brownman had on angel wings that were blue, if I'm not mistaken, right? So Lisa said, "I don't want to talk to you. You're dismissed." I said, "You're dismissed." Brownman said, "Me? I'm dismissed?" In her confessional, "I'm dismissed. I think you mean, Judge, please dismiss these lawsuits against me." I said, "Come on, Brownman." That was funny. It's about to get funnier. Lisa is like, "I'm not upset. I don't like you." She starts yelling. That's the one thing that sometimes annoys me about her. But then again, I can't even get, they all do it. They all get to yelling and talking, right? They all do it. So if I'm annoyed by her, I should be annoyed by all of them. But you know how it is. Y'all know how I feel about Lisa Barlow. But she said, Bronwyn is loitering. She's loitering. Like, ma'am, y'all are all allowed to be in this space. Now you may want her out of your space. I get that. Please, arm's length. Keep it arm's length. But Lisa, she wasn't loitering, but that was funny. She's loitering. In the meantime, the guys are joking, and Seth is asking Jared, is he in love with Brittany? I said, I have zero interest. The same way Meredith has zero interest in Brittany, I had zero interest in that conversation because it's boring. Who cares? I think that, what's his name, wants to be on the show, though, Jared. I think he wants to be on the show. Showbiz runs in the veins, okay? So Lisa said, I have zero interest in talking to you. Bronwyn says, you talk to everybody about me. I said, oh, she said, this stuff that is said about you will cause people to pause. Baby, baby, baby. Lisa said, the stuff I could say about you will cause people to pause about you. You dick sucker. Then she said, wait, hold on. Mary said, this is getting nasty real quick. By the way, is Amy auditioning to be a housewife, you think? Are they bringing her in and filming and all that, y'all think, to maybe make her a housewife? Or like audition or put her on the burner or make her a friend of or something? Because she's a socialite, but she's not on the show. But you know, sometimes maybe they don't want to be on the show. But child, I just have that in my notes. I said, by the way, is Amy auditioning to be a housewife? Anyway, li- hold on. I meant to do this before. I'm doing it right now, y'all. Hold on. Before we get into it, what Lisa called that woman, I'm looking it up. I'm looking it up. Y'all know what I'm looking up. Okay. Hold on. Lisa called that woman a gout dick sucker. I'm Whitney. Whitney said, if y'all are watching, y'all see the face I made, child. But Lisa said, Whitney said, I thought it was in your feet. I said, I'm with you, Whitney. Well, I just looked it up. Okay. This is what I typed in Google. Is there a thing as gout dick? AI said, while gout dick, in quotes, is not a medical term, gout can manifest in the genitalia with reports of gouty tophi, which is deposits of urate crystals forming in the scrotum and then on the phallus. These are unusual, extra articular, outside of the joints, locations for gout and are considered rare manifestations of chronic gout, according to the National Institute of Health. Key takeaway: if you're experiencing a painless, expanding lesion or any unusual lump on your genitalia, it is important to consult a healthcare professional for a proper diagnosis. I hope we've learned something today, y'all. Okay. Lisa called that lady a gout D sucker. Child, I said, did she research? Like, did she know? Like, did she? Did she know that that could possibly happen, like what I just read, y'all? Or was she just making that up and it actually happens to be true? Child. So Lisa said that's how you pay for your clothes. Here's where I think Lisa thought she was eating with that, but she wasn't because Bronwyn said, my husband pays for my clothes. And Lisa said, yeah, because you suck his D. I said, I'm not going to get into my business, but ain't that just like what comes, right? Like that wasn't a read to me. Now, if she had said it was somebody else, like Todd's business partner, we got action. We got something. That's her husband. Bronwyn said, I don't work. He does pay for my clothes and everything. He pays my Amex. Child. So wait. Bronwyn says it says in the lawsuit somebody is paying for your Amex, and Lisa says it's not. And I said, now here Lisa was saying Bronwyn is not a lawyer and didn't even finish college. But Bronwyn knew what was in that lawsuit, and either you didn't or you were lying because they showed a piece. It is in the lawsuit. So y'all know Whitney spoke up. She says it is. Of course, they showed it. Bronwyn said, I actually enjoy sex with my husband. Lisa said, now she's okay with Todd. In Mexico, she wasn't. And I was like, here we go again. So Bronwyn said, look, I've had my ups and downs in my marriage. Yes, absolutely. But I enjoy my husband and I enjoy sex with my husband. It is what it is. Lisa ain't trying to hear it. Child, they going back and forth. Lisa says out loud to her, she's not a lawyer and she didn't even go to college. Bronwyn said, I don't have to be a lawyer to read a lawsuit. How about you should be thinking about paying off them effing lawsuits? That's what you should do. I said, oh, Brown, I'm sorry. I felt like Brown was eating her. She said, how about you pay off them effing lawsuits? That's what you should do. Lisa said, you're disgusting. She's disgusting. She's disgusting. I'm going to clear everything up and post it about her life and post it about her life. Bronwyn said, yeah, you're going to start an online smear campaign. Of course you are, because that's what you do to all, that's what you love to do. You've done it to multiple of us. And Whitney was shaking her head. The episode goes off. I have to agree. Lisa does, Lisa trolls the girls online while they're not filming. And then when they start filming again, the girls bring it up and Lisa becomes the victim. Now, look, they all get into the social media stuff. Whitney, not so much anymore, but they've all gone there a time or two, right? But Lisa does, like, she was so offended that Angie compared her to Jen Shaw, but she compared Bronwyn to Jen Shaw for a line on a necklace, line about a necklace, right? So I'm sorry, Bronwyn ate her up. Bronwyn ate Baby Gorgeous up like that for the, come here. Y'all, I love these ladies so much. I love watching them. I can't wait for the episode to come out again. Child, when they showed us a flash forward or like a, why are words, Lord? Missing words. But when they showed us what's to come, and Lisa had poster boards about her lawsuits, I said she really wants these people to think, like wants them to see her a certain way. This season, I feel like it's going to be good. I hope it is. I'm enjoying the two episodes that we've had. Y'all let me know how y'all felt about this episode. How did y'all feel about the Lisa and Bronwyn of it all? Y'all may think that Lisa ate Bronwyn. And do y'all think that Heather is, oh, because at the lunch, let me go back. At the lunch with Bronwyn and Heather, they were kind of going back and forth and getting into it. And Heather said, look, do you want to be friends? Because Heather was bringing up Lisa, and Bronwyn was like, me and Lisa should not be dependent on our friendship. Heather said it's not. And Brown was kind of like, oh, I kind of think it is. So Heather was like, look, do you want to be friends or not? Brown says, yes, that's what I've been trying to do. They cheers. I don't think that lasts. But do y'all think that Heather is committed to misunderstanding Brown, or do you think that Heather has valid reasons? Again, Heather has brought up she thinks Bronwyn is a liar, because of the necklace thing. But didn't Heather lie for how many years about the black eye? I'm just saying. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Again, let me know what y'all think about the episode, the Lisa versus Bronwyn of it all, who you think came out on top. And then do y'all think that Heather is really committed to misunderstanding Bronwyn? Or do you think Heather has legitimate concerns? I know I like Bronwyn. Some people I don't like everything she does, be clear. Heather did tell her she word salads I think she does sometimes as well. But hey, it is what it is. I can give Heather that. Sometimes it's like, okay, Bronwyn. But y'all let me know what y'all think. I love y'all so much. Oh, I meant to say this in the beginning of the episode. So I told y'all last week that I had some news about the podcast. So what else is going on? Podcast is now on a podcast network called Believe Podcast Network. It used to be a network of just sports podcasts, and they've since branched out. And what's so crazy, y'all, I've been podcasting since 2016, almost 10 years. 20 November of 2016, I started. So I had another podcast for 4 years. I put that on hiatus, and I love doing that. It's called Tales from a Butterfly, and it talked about I was a butterfly, but let's talk about what happens when you're in the cocoon. Everybody wants to be a butterfly, but nobody wants to be the caterpillar or in the cocoon, right? That's what really makes the butterfly. So I would interview people, have people on. It was a personal, more of like a personal development with the spiritual base type podcast, right? So anyway, back in February of 2020, I have the email. I submitted that podcast to this podcast network saying that I believe that they should expand the network, bring on some different podcasts. So I pitched myself, never heard anything. And here we are now with this podcast because the other one went on hiatus. So I could do this. Hiatus is 5 years. I think I'm going to bring it back one day because I miss doing it. But they reached out. We had some conversations, some paperwork. And so at the beginning of the episode, you may hear an ad and then you may hear a couple ads throughout the episode. So yes, I am on a podcast network. So y'all run those numbers up. If y'all are watching, can y'all go to Apple, type in what else is going on? And there's two of them. Go with the one that has like 459 reviews. I'm working on getting rid of the other one now. For some reason, it's two that were uploaded. But by the time y'all hear this, though, I may have been able to remove the other one. But if not, if you type in what else is going on, wherever it is you listen to your podcast, well, on Apple at least, and you see two, look at the one, click on both of them and go with the one that has the 450 some reviews. But anyway, yeah, your girl is on a podcast network. I'm excited to see where this goes, see how it goes. Y'all run those numbers up, download this podcast. If you watching me, like I said, still follow it on the podcast, on wherever it is you listen to your podcast, and play it just for like a minute or something, okay? Or at least download it. At least do that. But anyway, y'all, thank y'all so much for rocking with me. Everybody who's been here since the beginning, the middle, and now. I'm grateful that we're all on this journey together. I don't take it for granted at all. I love how 98% of the time our discourse is respectful, whether we agree or not. I can appreciate that because, again, I don't take lightly to y'all wanting to engage. It'd be worse if you ain't want to engage, right? So I appreciate that. Some more changes are coming. Me and the hubby are working on some things. So I love y'all so much, and I will talk to y'all later. I think I've decided Salt Lake City upload day will be Thursday. It comes out Tuesday. I'm just gonna have to make myself have enough time to get it out Thursday. I've been able to watch live lately and take my notes. So but if anything changes, if something's coming up during that week, I'll let y'all know. But for right now, it's Thursdays. Love y'all. Talk to y'all later. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. And then for the podcast, follow me and write a review. Thank y'all. Love you. See ya.